20 past the hour. While Donald Trump is back in court today, the former president took advantage of yesterday's trial break to travel to battleground states Wisconsin and Michigan for campaign rallies. They were his first campaign events outside of New York since the trial began. Meanwhile, top campaign staff have been joining the former president in court, with senior advisor Jason Miller, de facto campaign chief Susie Wiles, among others, standing by him recently. Joining us from outside the courthouse, NBC's Vaughn Hilliard and Washington Post senior national political correspondent Ashley Parker. So, Vaughn, on Tuesday, Eric Trump joined his father in court for the first time. Other allies, including Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, was there as well. Why have they not been there before, and why are they there now?
Right. The first 2 weeks, Jose, were quite lonesome for Donald Trump inside of that courthouse. Outside of his legal defense team, there were no family members, no political allies, outside of one advisor really a day. And that's where Tuesday was starkly different, with Eric Trump there, as well as the Texas Attorney General and David McIntosh, who is the president of Club for Growth, that conservative group that Donald Trump had an icy relationship with during the 2024 Republican primary, but ultimately came back to Donald Trump when it was apparent that he was going to become the nominee. And both of those men came out and spoke with reporters on behalf of Donald Trump, and really stoking the idea that this is a political persecution being targeted at the presumptive Republican nominee. We should note today is a little different. There is no family member here, and there are no apparent surrogates here. And the question for Donald Trump is who is going to be the one really running that PR campaign for him, because he has bemoaned that he is not able to attack witnesses and being able to attack this jury. And while members of Congress who have long been allied with him have been cooped up on Capitol Hill because of their obligations of actual legislating, largely he has been alone here. The question is, over the course of these next weeks, will that dynamic change at all?
Yeah, I mean, actually, when it comes to the Trump world, what are the allies hoping to get from joining the former president in the courtroom?
Well, this has been, as we've reported, and perhaps quite understandably, a deeply unpleasant experience for the former president, right? And he's come out and complained about it. He's talked about being too cold, how freezing the courtroom is. He's talked about how difficult it is to have to sit upright that entire time. And Donald Trump is someone who loves being in control, the center of attention. That's why he often doesn't leave his properties, because whether he's on the patio of Mar-a-Lago or, in a gilded triplex in Trump Tower, he can control everything from how his steak is cooked to the playlist and the volume of the playlist. And so this is an uncomfortable situation for him. Within his orbit, his aides say regardless of the actual outcome of the trial, they have the saying, which is the process is the punishment. And so they've been trying to organize dinners for him, distractions. And so having people and allies there is a little bit of a creature comfort for someone like Donald Trump.
Yeah, and actually, when you say he controls the playlist and the volume of the playlist, that's like very specific, something he actually does in Mar-a-Lago when he's there at dinner.
Oh, that's absolutely right. And again, all politicians, they enjoy being principals. They like being in charge. But Donald Trump, to sort of an extreme degree, to the point where, when he travels, as Vaughn knows as well, he almost always tries to return again to one of his gilded homes that evening. And if he does have to stay in a hotel, he's very picky. He likes Holiday Inns because they have light-colored floors, and he believes it's easier to see the dirt there. He's a germaphobe. So for a man who likes to control every detail of his surroundings, this is one of the first times since he stepped into the political world where we have really seen him out of control. The judge dictates when he shows up, what he can do, when he can go to the bathroom, when there's breaks, even what he can say. And it's proven incredibly challenging for him.
Such an interesting discussion. And I think, Vaughn, you have actually traveled. I mean, you certainly go to a lot of his rallies, but you've also been on his plane a few times not exactly welcomed with open arms. But just thinking your thoughts about that, about how the difference of his life is because of this court case.
Right. I mean, let's be clear. He attempted to move away from New York City, and so he could spend his time down at either Mar-a-Lago or Bedminster. But now he has taken up residency again in Midtown Manhattan, which I don't think most folks would blink at having to stay at Trump Tower and the 10,000 square foot home that he calls the penthouse home that he calls home. But for Donald Trump, you just said it, right? And Ashley knows this. When he travels around on his plane, which, yes, has light-colored carpet as well, that is a moment for him in which, in so many ways, it is still traveling like the President of the United States on Air Force One, right? His plane is sitting there on the tarmac. He doesn't have to go through a typical security screening. This is for him, in many ways, consuming of his time. He's got to be at this courthouse by 9 a.m. every morning, and he wants to plan different stops around Manhattan, but ultimately those have to come either at the sunrise or sunset. And so in so many ways, he has gotten used to, over the course of decades, really controlling the schedule of his life. And that is what is so different about a criminal trial, is that he has to be here or else he was threatened with being arrested if he didn't show up here. And so really for the first time, even when he was at the White House, the schedule is dictated by somebody other than Donald Trump, either president or CEO of the Trump Organization.
Vaughn Hilliard and Ashley Parker, thank you both so very much. Really appreciate it.